A lot of it depends with age. It depends what you mean by eye health, because it's an all-encompassing term. Some people would include the requirement for glasses within that, as that will affect both how you function in the world as well as health itself. We use the term to encompass both. Very difficult to know what to say, because a lot of it will depend with age. In a youngster, most eye health problems, what you would call a medical problem, would tend to be caught fairly early. After that, they tend to be developmental problems. Some children, when they're born, their eyeball is 90% adult size at the front surface of what we call the cornea, and the eye is 2/3 adult volume. The child is therefore long-sighted, hyperopic as we would call it, when they're born. As they age and grow and develop, then they become more normally long-sighted. Emetropia is the term we use there. But some children don't develop that well, or don't develop that way. The eyes don't grow as they should, so they remain long-sighted. This can give rise to squints and that type of thing, although a squint may not necessarily be obvious because of some structural anomalies of the eyes themselves. A thing called the epicanthic folds, which are just here on the inside of the nose. They can mask a squint under certain circumstances. They can also make a child look as though they've got a squint but haven't. When you then get on, you would then start to be looking for children myopia genesis, which usually takes place about 13, onset of puberty. In the Western world, and there is a reason for using this, the condition is probably, maximum figures are seen, about 20% of the school population. In the Far East, it can be up to 90%. So there is an epidemic, and it has been termed that by the WHO. I know they have a certain non-cachet but with a certain person in the US. But they have called it epidemic proportions. There are developments going on for this in hoping to reduce the onset of myopia using various contact lenses. I won't say that the technology is totally proven. I won't say that it will work in all cases.
So there will be some people who've missed appointments this year because of what's gone on with coronavirus and with lockdown. Mm-hmm. How important is it that you catch up?
Probably for children, not as much as it should be. Yes, certainly do catch up. I would normally recommend most children who are asymptomatic to be seen about once a year. The critical times when I would suggest that any parent thinks about their child having an eye examination would be just before just preschool, probably about 7. The reasoning for this is that when children are born, the visual system is what is known as plastic and doesn't fully develop till the age of 7. So hence, see them at preschool. If there are no obvious signs or symptoms, then it can be caught early enough for correction or whatever is required to be done. 7, again, is that critical age. Again, let us say the start of high school, secondary school, so say about 11 or 12, and then maybe 13, 14 if you're looking at the onset of myopia, especially if the parents are myopic. Although there is a genetic link, it is not fully understood, and just because you have 2 parents who are myopic, the child may not become myopic. Similarly, you can have myopia develop spontaneously, as happened to me. Neither of my parents needed glasses. I'm stuck with them.
So if you are going for an eye check at the moment, are there any precautions in place, or with social distancing is it all fine?
We're fortunate. Unlike some of my colleagues all my colleagues across who are having to wear full PPE, we are fortunate because of the way the island has managed the situation. We are not required to wear PPE, nor are now our patients. I will admit I did have a little giggle to myself on Saturday when there was a bit going on about PPE on a Facebook page for opticians, and I said, well, we don't have to wear them, and all I got from one guy in the UK was, don't take this the wrong way, but I hate you.
Is there a contingency plan, though, if there was to be a second
There is
wave?
a contingency plan. In the practice I work in, we have stocks of PPE, so if it suddenly was decided we needed to go to that, we would be easily wear PPE. We've got it already. We are wiping surfaces down probably a bit more thoroughly than we used to. But at the moment, everything seems to be okay. We're asking the appropriate questions when people make appointments. You know, have you been in contact with anyone with COVID? Have you been, across on holiday or something like that? But at the moment, fortunately, we're okay. We seem to be okay. So no special precautions required at the moment.
There will be people who've spent a bit more on their screens recently, on phones, talking on Skype and Zoom, things like that. There is this perception that screens aren't necessarily great for your eyes. Is that true?
Sort of. The reason I say that is that TV screens, computer screens will not necessarily won't damage your eyes. The major problem that occurs with use of computer screens especially is that most people, when they tend to be looking at a computer screen especially, their blink rate drops. When this happens, their eyes dry out. Now, most modern offices are air conditioned, atmosphere is dry. It just exacerbates the problem. Again, if the screen isn't set correctly, then it can exacerbate already existing problems. So they won't. If you spend 24 hours a day staring at a computer screen, it won't do your eyes any harm per se. It'll just exacerbate existing problems.